Hey, welcome to Mike's Trains. This is the next part in the series of how I do the buildings on my layout. The first part I actually put out there and I showed you how I seal my buildings to the layout so we don't get light bleeding out from the bottoms. Now I haven't done that to this building yet because I'm still working on it. The next part is I showed you how I added the lights to the buildings. Now I'm going to show you what I'm going to do, and this is a project I've started, is how to add the interiors to the buildings. These are the first two I've done. Like this. So now you can see that we have something inside the building. In the upper floors I added curtains to the windows, and you can't see all the way into the building. So this is the goal that we're looking for, and that's what we're going to do in this video. What we want to get away from is the look of, let's go over to this side, as you can see all the way inside the building. You can see somewhat of the bulb that's in there, and it just doesn't look very good. And there's the bulb in the doorway of that building right there. Now we can do what you see here, and the windows are just frosted, so the light goes through, but you can't see inside the building. That's very easy to do, and it's a nice fix if you don't care about what's inside the building. But I like to go a little bit further, and I'd like to be able to see something inside the building, but I still don't want to see the bulbs. So let's get this started, and I'll show you how I did this. It's a nice big difference, and as you can see, I'm following along with my references to different shows and movies that I like. That's the Chop Suey Palace from Christmas Story, and Satriali's is from The Sopranos, if you've watched it at all. So what I'm not going to go into on here is the signage that I made for these. That's made with a combination of software programs that I use. One program is Paint Shop from Microsoft Paint that comes with Windows, and then the other program I use is Photoshop from Corel. I had to figure that out. It's a pain in the butt to figure out, and I'm really not going to get into doing that because I'm no expert in either one. So that'll be up to you to figure out. But it's not that hard to do, and you can get great results. So let's move into the workshop and see how this got done. Okay, so now we're in the workshop, and I'll show you kind of what I did here and bring you up to speed as to where we are. All these buildings came in a set. There was probably a dozen or more. So in order to make my city blocks, what I did was I took the buildings and glued them together. So now it's just one big building, okay? And the top, you're supposed to put white plastic, styrene that comes in here. And then I took that styrene and I put a layer of Elmer's white glue down, and I sprinkled some really fine sand on the top, and then I sprayed it black and just weathered it a little bit. And the buildings themselves are all weathered, but as you can see, the windows are really not very clear. I mean, you can't really see through them. So I'm only going to do one building here. I'm going to do this Otto's parts and batteries. I'm going to do this first building. So in order to fix this and make this right so that you can actually see in the windows, what we're going to start with is we're going to pull out all this glass, all the plastic that makes the windows that I put in. These buildings were made Oh, a long time ago I made these when I first started building my layout, and I haven't really done anything with them since. And since then I've gotten a little more confident in my skills and my abilities, and I've learned a few things here and there. So now it's time to revisit these buildings. So I'm going to pull out all the glass. I'm only doing the one building, but I want to get all this kind of work done now. It comes out very easily. These were put on with super glue, just regular grocery store super glue. And as you can see, the glue doesn't really hold, and it spreads around. Everywhere it's black is where the glue spread out. It pretty much stayed away from the windows, but it did, squeeze into the spots where you would look through. Super glue is not a good idea for these windows. It really isn't. It just makes a mess of things. And if it gets into where you can see the open parts of the windows, what happens is it'll fog the plastic and you can't see through it anymore. Okay, so now we have a building with no glass. I'm not going to worry about the glass in here because, number one, you can't get in there, and it really doesn't matter what's in there. So I'm going to leave that alone. Now, the other thing I've done with these before I set these up, when I set these up originally, is I went back and see I got cardboard in here. This is the cover of the box. It really doesn't matter what you put in there. And then I covered up the top. But you need to spray the insides, need to be dark. You need to cut those spray those very dark. If you don't, now these are painted on both sides, and I built these individually and then put them together. But if you don't spray the inside and the outside, what can happen is the building itself, the walls will glow. When you light them up, you'll get a little bit of glow through the walls, and you really don't want that. You want these walls to stay solid so that they look like they're a solid building. So that's what I've done here. I've got some side windows here. I'm going to pull these off as well. All of this stuff can go. And the stuff that's on the side walls, we're not even going to replace that. There's no reason to. But you can see it just doesn't work very well at all. And that's a lot due to the glass, the glue that I used. Super glue is not the best for this kind of stuff, again. Okay, so all the glass is out. Now I have a little bit remaining here that I've got to scrape off, and I'm just going to take an X-Acto knife with a flat blade on it, and I'm going to scrape that out of there. And anything else that's not flat. Just got to make sure that all of this is nice and flat. So when we install the next set of glass in here, it'll be nice. Everything will sit flat. So we're looking okay right here. The other thing I wanted to just touch on briefly is sometimes you can end up with gaps between the floor of the ceiling here and where the walls are. So what I did on the inside is I took some caulk, some paintable latex caulk, and I just sealed around the seams here, and just for good measure down these seams on all the buildings. So that way I get no light escaping from the insides of the buildings. And so that gets you up to speed to where we are. So now we need to add new glass to this. Now I do have some of the glass that they give you in the kits, which is, it's kind of heavy. The other buildings I did a different type. That's this stuff right here. It's a sheet. It's like transparency film, and that's actually what I'm using. But the glue I'm going to use is a little different. I'm going to use this Canopy glue, Formula 560 Canopy glue. It works awesome. And when it dries, if it happens to get into the windows itself, it dries crystal clear, so you won't ever see it. It doesn't haze the plastic at all, and it holds better than super glue, better than this crap. So what we're going to do first is I'm going to cut new sheets for here, 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 and here, and this side and this side. So let's start with the back side. Okay, so I'm just going to cut this with scissors. There's no point in going with a knife or anything. And I'm just going approximate right at the moment. Actually, I'm going to mark this first, so I have a line to follow. Okay, so I'm just going to put a mark. I'm going to cut this a little bit smaller than the inside. This is just scissors. Just like that. So now we have this. We're going to set this in here just like this. So I'm cutting it, you probably can't see it, but I'm cutting it so that it just covers the windows themselves. I'm not going past the bottom, and it's not touching the top. And it's roughly just short of each side, so it's a loose fit. It's very loose. Okay, so what I just have a bathroom cup. I've turned upside down and we'll put the glue in there. When you use this stuff, shake it up really good. I found this out the hard way. If you don't, the glue separates in the bottle, so you want to get that shook up really well. Don't need much. And then we're going to use a micro brush. Use one of these, and we're just going to spread the glue. I'm just going to make a line. Around the windows. I don't know if you can kind of see what's going on here. So you can kind of see what I've done here. I just went around all the windows, and then I'm going to take this sheet that I cut. I want to clean it a little bit. Got a little bit of dust on it. And we're just going to set that in there. And push it down into the glue. Now this dries kind of slow. Like I said, there's a lot of working time. It will hold this in now so you can flip it around, but there's clean, fresh glass. You can kind of see it glisten in the light. It's very hard to see because it's very clear. It looks good. It's done. So now we're going to work this side. And that'll go like that. Now, you can see, I don't know if it shows or not, but there's a tiny bit of glue showing right there and right in the very tip corner here. Let's see if I can put something behind that. I'm not going to worry about it because it will dry clear. I need something with color. But anyway, you get the idea. There we go. Now, see, it's already drying up and you can't see it. So that's the back side. So this building is done here, and we're done here. Now it's just the front side. Okay, there's the upper floor. Now I did experiment with, just so you know, I did mess around with printing the curtains and window treatments right onto the clear window plastic. I thought that would save me some time and trouble. It sort of works, but you lose some effect, and I didn't really like the way it came out, so I ended up doing it this way. And the next step, you'll see what goes on with that. But for right now, let's just get all this glass in here. Window panes installed. They're very see-through now compared to what was there. You know, you can see clearly through that. This one, not so much. So there's the new windows. Okay, so that's done. So now I'm gonna let that dry for a few minutes. The other thing you don't want to do is you don't want to get fingers on your glue and touch the glass, because that's going to be hard to cover up. You won't be able to clean that very well. All right, so that's good. We have nothing hanging down. We're good all the way around. So we're going to let this dry, and I'm going to show you how I do how we get the curtains printed and all of that stuff, or what I use anyway. So let's move on to that. Okay, so what I have is this software here. It's from Evans Designs, and they sell a whole bunch of different stuff. The website is modeltrainsoftware.com. This stuff works pretty good. I mean, it has some limitations. I do like it, and I don't regret buying it. I bought the whole set of software that they have, which allows you to make buildings. It allows you to do a whole bunch of different things. So what it has in there is there are templates for all these. These are DPM buildings, design preservation models. They have pre-made templates, and you can choose window treatments, which would be curtains or shades or blinds. You can adjust them up or down however you want them. You can do different things like that. And they also have interior photos that will automatically scale to your size. You tell it what scale you want, and it'll print. I can print the background that will fit inside the building. Now, I had originally said that I don't print the curtains on the clear plastic because it doesn't work very well. What I do is I print those curtains on vellum paper. Now, if you buy the software, they give you a couple sheets of this vellum to go with. And this is what the vellum looks like. It's just it's an 8.5 by 11 sheet, but as you can see, it's really pretty see-through. But it allows the colors on the printer, I don't know, maybe it's just my printer, but my inkjet printer, it allows the colors to print darker than they would on this clear transparency paper. Okay, so when you light the building inside, if you do it on the clear, like I said, I tried it on the glass, and the colors get lost in the light. You can't see them anymore. But I print them on this, and then when I line up the curtains behind here, the color is much darker on here, and you can actually see them in the window. And then when they light up, the glass has that frosted appearance, so you can't really see inside the building, but there's something in the window. And then as for these down here, they suggest using the vellum paper to print your background on. Now, I tried that as well, and what happens is you need these colors inside here to be very dark so you can see them. Even this is too light to be inside the building with the colors. They don't print dark enough. So what I end up doing with those is I have a light duty plain printer paper like this. Now, these are some curtains that I printed out on white paper just to see what they would look like. I print the backgrounds on here, and I put them inside. So let me go get a few of those things printed up, and I'll show you how that goes. Okay, so I've printed the sheets, and I just wanted to show you the difference between the vellum paper and how things show up as opposed to the printer paper. So when I lay this up here, you can see the light through it. The image actually inside the building, the lower image here, looks kind of washed out. You can't really see it. And then the curtains are above. And it's okay, I don't mind those so much being washed out, but the inside on the bottom needs to be really clear and bright. So I took and I printed that inside on the building, on the paper here, and you can kind of see it takes more light to go through it, but the colors are much darker and you can see better what goes on in there. So that's the difference. So now what we're going to do is we're going to cut these out and start putting them into the building. Alright, so let's start with the curtains and the upper floor. I just, as I'm thinking, I forgot to do the side and the back windows, because on the other building I didn't have any of that. So much like the window glass, you're going to cut these out bigger than the window spacing. Now these are already spaced for the building. It's a template, so it's already set for you. And all we got to do is just glue this into the window space like that. And then we'll end up with the look of curtains in there, and then the vellum paper will show much more light than the curtains, and you'll be able to see bright light through them. And that's all you need. You don't need any more than that. So let's get this glued in, and all we're going to do is we're going to use that same canopy glue, and I'm going to put a little bit in my cup. And what I'm going to do, now the ink is darker on one side than the other side. So we're going to put the clear detailed side to the outside. So this is the side we need to put the glue on. I'm just going to put a little bit here, a little bit here, and then probably we'll do a little bit in the middle, right along the top edge here, and then a little bit at the bottom edge. And because I don't want it squeezing into the window, the actual window area on the bottom, I'm just putting it between the windows. And then we're going to set this into place. Now with this, because it's a paper, we got to be kind of quick to set this into place before it all sets up and starts to really stick well. There we go. So now, I don't know if you can see, but it's kind of centered up, so the center of the curtains are over the windows here. I have a shade here that's part way down, and then the next shade is all the way down. And those should light up just fine. Now for the bottom floor. Now we're going to cut this out. So in order to do this, we're going to cut this out. I'm going to cut it rough just to get it out of here. Okay. Now I'm gonna leave it long on both ends, but I'm gonna cut right up to the design on the top and bottom. Like that. Okay, and then I'm going to fold this right at the edge of the interior picture. I'm going to crease this right there. I'm going to do the same for this side. So then we end up with something like this, and this will go like this. Now, when we set this in here, obviously we don't want to put it right up to the door like this. We want to set it back just a little bit. We want to set it back to give you that depth. So what I need to do, because I have a window on the side here, I have to cut back this flap here so we don't cover up that side window. And I think I'll trim this just to make it a little easier to manage. And we're going to set that in here. Now I'm going to move this back from the edge. I'm going to move it back like to maybe a ½ inch from the side windows, a ½ inch back from here, so the actual interior sheet is going to glue in back here, not right up to the front. So let's get that in there. And the same canopy glue, just a little bit down that side and a little bit down this side. Make sure we have the right side up. We're going to glue this right in, and we're going to keep it flush to the bottom of the building. And then we'll put this side in over here. Like that. But there you go. So there it is. And then what I can do to give that even more of an illusion of depth is to place some of the figures, maybe 1 or 2 figures inside between these two, like one right here on the ground on the layout, and then we'll set the building right over it. And that's all there is to it. I mean, it's not a big deal, and it makes all the difference in the world. Like I said, you can frost over the windows, but you lose the opportunity to have a little bit of depth in here and actually look like something's going on in the buildings. I'm not going to do the rest of these because, you know, watching the procedure one is enough, and I think you kind of get the idea of what goes on. And the other thing I wanted to say is you have to be careful, because originally when I set up the lighting in the buildings, I put 1 bulb in each building and it lit up. But because this paper is heavier inside here, I'm going to have to use 2 bulbs. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to actually come in here and I'm going to cut with my Dremel. I'm going to cut out, with a cutoff wheel, I'm going to cut out a section here, 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 like a big square, another one here, and another one here, so that the light can be more evenly spread across the building. And instead of having 1, 2, 3, 4 bulbs, I may put 5 or 6 in here, and it'll light the whole thing much more evenly. So that's the only other thing you got to be careful of when you're doing the lighting, is just make sure you have enough lighting in there to make everything bright enough. The good part is with this printer paper back here and all that, if you do super bright lighting back there, it doesn't spill out onto the street and end up lighting up the whole sidewalk. It's a very soft light that comes through, and that allows me, if I decide I want to do street lights outside in front of here, I can light those and it'll look appropriate. Without doing something in front of the windows, the lighting is just super bright and it ends up spilling out, and the light comes all the way out, almost into the street, maybe some cases in the street, where it's not very realistic and the light is just way too bright. So that's something to keep in mind when you're doing this. So that's about it. I'm going to go place this on the layout. I want to make sure it looks right, and I want to kind of check my bulb placements. So maybe I'll give you a quick look on the layout. Oh, hang on. Okay, so there's the building all lit up. That's the end result. It still needs, obviously, the modeling clay around the base to seal that up totally. But that's what we're looking at, and you can kind of see if I flip off the lights here, it lights up beautifully. I love it. Now it's just a matter of getting my lights in there spaced just right, and cutting the inside walls between the buildings so that the light will spread from this first building. So the light will spread from this first building all the way over to the other end of this building over here, right at the very end. So other than that, that's all I do. That's all it is, and it looks gorgeous. I like it a lot. I hope this works for you. Try it if you want. Good luck and you know, happy modeling. Visit my website to find more things that I've done. My website is mikestrains.wordpress.com. You can find me on YouTube as well, so if you found me on one but not the other, sign up for email subscriptions on my website. I don't always put everything on YouTube. Photos and things like that, different updates I do, I don't YouTube those. So, sign up on my website by all means. So until next time, we'll see you later. Goodbye.